episode. I'm Brian Henk. I'm here with Jeremy Commander, and our episode today is the top 5 places to find art for your prototype. So we've in the past we've done an episode similar to this, but now it's many years later, and I think it's time to revisit it. And so we'll update our list. There'll be some that are the same from the last time, and then some new ones that we found as well. So I think this will really help you make your prototypes pop, and we're excited to share everything that the places that we find and maybe don't find, and any possibly any restrictions on them as well. So let's start it off.
I'll say I'm always on the hunt for more of these, and I have like a bookmarks
Yeah,
folder of these. I think it's up to 81 bookmarks now. So this is the
yeah,
curated list of the best ones. And Brian had some I hadn't heard of. Like, ooh, okay, it's going on my list now. Excellent.
yeah, yeah,
But if
yeah.
there's a really important one that you, the listener, thinks we missed, please, write in and tell us. Like, hey, this one's really good as a place to get board game art. You should consider that. And we're happy to hear about ones we may not know about yet, because over time that
Yeah.
changes.
Yeah, and writing in, or not everybody, a lot of people are still using the forbidden limb at gmail.com, which like I did
Brian
not
still
forget
checks it
even to
apparently.
use it. I do check it. So feel free to use that, or how should people contact you, Jeremy, if they want to?
My website's Board Game Builders, so it's boardgamebuilders.com, and I have a Gmail address on
Okay.
there. And so that's probably the best way to reach me if you want. If you go to boardgamebuilders.com and click on this, it's like boardgamebuilders at gmail.com. It's set up just for that, and I use that for board
Yeah.
game communication.
Cool. All right. And yeah, for me, pullthepingames.com, you can find my email on there. You can reach me. So any of the email addresses that you've seen for us, we still check them. We'll respond to you. So please email or catch us on Twitter or something too.
If I email president at pull the pins game, does that work?
No, no.
Okay, all right.
No, I'm just Brian. All right, so let's start off. So we're gonna, as usual, go down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And number 5, what's the number 5 on our top 5 list of places to find prototype art, Jeremy?
Yes, I'm going to go ahead and for the video version here, share my screen, but I'll describe for the audio listeners. It's a website called Pixabay, and this is like a stock photo website. What I like about this is the images on here are they're not like, you have to do attribution. They're like totally public domain free. It'll say that under the image. So you can use this image and not have to like, okay, how do I fit the attribution in there or the credit in there? Or am I respecting the Creative Commons license? Or there's not really any restrictions. And so it's pixabay.com, pixabay.com. And I use lots of different like stock photo websites, but this one I want to call out as my kind of top pick because of the licensing is so easy. They don't have to worry about paying a fee, or I can only use it on a product that has a run of 1,000 units, or I have to do a credit or anything like that. It's super easy. So that's number 5.
That's really cool. Yeah, I hadn't like I probably happened upon this site in the past, but I don't remember. It's been years. So like in looking at this and to prep for this episode, I checked this out and like this looks really, really good. Like there's a lot of good stuff here that I could use too. It could be as, if you're a graphic designer too, to use as background for certain things. I think it could be super, super useful, certainly for prototypes and maybe even beyond. So that's good. I added that to my list as well. And you mentioned the attribution part to this too, and that's going to be key for all of these resources. That's like the most important thing, to look into everything that you download and see what you have to do to give the creator credit for it. When we're making prototypes, it really doesn't, like, nobody cares if you have a little attribution
Right,
line underneath it.
right,
Just
right.
leave it on there. Don't like steal someone's creation just to make your prototype maybe look like more professional, like a little more professional. Just leave that line on there to give them credit for it, and as a way for other people who play your prototype to maybe find that creator or find that site where you found it, and that's just the right thing to do. So Jeremy, showing it looks like how where you see the license, most of them have that kind of thing. wherever you're downloading the content, somewhere on there on the side or on the bottom or something, it'll say how you have to attribute them. Attribute them? Yes, that's how you
Right,
say it.
or yeah, yeah, yeah.
Give them
What
credit
what
for.
the restrictions are? Yes, I've bought some
Yep.
before. The stock photos, and it's like, yeah, as long as the product you issue with this is not more than X units, your license is covered.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to print more than X
Mm-hmm.
units, then you have to pay us an extra fee. And so it's just so simple. That's why I like this website.
Yeah. Yep. All right. So that's number five. What's our number four place then to find prototype art resources, Jeremy?
It's the government. At least if you're listening from the U.S., your tax dollars actually pay to generate a lot of things that you could take advantage of. So put them to use. And if you're outside the U.S., well, these you could still get to these. So NASA publishes a lot of imagery on their website, and they have like the photo of the day or photo of the week, because NASA's mission, the nature of everything they do has to be in the public domain. So all of NASA's stuff has to go into the public domain. So NASA has lots of cool astronomy pictures and planet pictures and all kinds of stuff. So if you're making a space game and you want some cool looking planets or star fields or nebulas, go to NASA, dig through their photo archives, and there's a ton of stuff that you can get there that is already available for you to use that is part of NASA's mission of pumping that out to everybody in the public to use that. And
Mm-hmm.
then other government sites, the National Gallery of Art. Also, I should say, let me do the URL, which is nasa.gov, so nasa.gov. The National Gallery of Art is the next one. That is nga.gov, nga.gov. And they have digitized their collection and make it searchable. And again, this is also because this is going to be into the public domain, that this art owned by the government. They want everybody to be able to use the photographs of this artwork. And so you can search, I need a horse, I want something from the Renaissance period, things like that. You can search through the National Gallery of Art and find a whole bunch of stuff here. Let me do, I was making something with watermelon the other day. And so I was been searching for watermelon in all of these. And if I do that, I'll get results for watermelon paintings, photos that depict
Yeah.
that. And then I can go with
Huh.
it. And they have multiple resolutions available. It tells you who the artist was. It's pretty cool. Next government
Huh.
website.
Actually, could you go back to that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
On if you hit back right now,
If I hit back on
and
the
yeah, I want
nga.gov.
yeah, because I want to look at the credit line down. If you scroll down a little
Oh,
bit,
yeah,
I
certainly.
want to see what's the credit like. What is this really free to use? Oh, credit
Yes.
line. Yeah, okay, so I'd be searching for the credit line. Never mind. So it's completely free to use. I can just use these like for a published game.
Yep. Because and it'll tell you if I go and I click on one of these images here. I'm going to read you the thing here. And there's the provenance. Oh, it's on a different page. It's on a different
Okay.
page.
Okay.
If I go to download here, what the National Gallery of Art is trying to do things that only the government should own that are therefore in the public domain,
Mm.
and that
Okay.
that's what they're trying to put into this collection,
Mm-hmm.
and
Okay.
it's on a different page. So
Sure. I believe you. I believe you.
it's stuff the public already owns, or the
Got it.
taxpayers
Got it.
already own is the idea.
Yep.
The next is the Smithsonian, which isn't like truly the government, but we're bending it because the way they're funded. But if you go to the Smithsonian and they're si.edu, so si.edu, the Smithsonian has also been digitizing their catalog and making it searchable. And so I can go here and find a ton of stuff on the Smithsonian website that I can
Mm.
use as well. And
All
then
right.
I'm going to go, oh, sorry, this one I've got to back up a bit. The next one is the New York Public Library. So the New York Public Library system is pretty big, and they have a big collection of stuff, books, artwork, other stuff, and they've been digitizing their collection. And so that is going to be at nypl.org, nypl.org. And specifically, I'm at digitalcollections.nypl.org. And again, I can search for something and get stuff from the library. And the library, again, public use. And this is mostly stuff from old books that is now in the public domain as well. And so I can get a lot of stuff out of it that
Cool.
way.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah, whether you're making a prototype or if you're a graphic designer too, these are great resources too that you can pull from.
Absolutely. Or, let's say I'm gonna make original artwork. I want some reference photos, or I'm gonna hire an
Yeah.
artist and I want some reference photos. We've talked about using like Pinterest to make like a reference
hmm
board for your artist. This is a great way
hmm
you could do that.
Yeah, super cool.
I think that wraps up the government there. So it's basically NASA, the National Gallery of Art, the Smithsonian, and I lumped the New York Public Libraries in there as well. Other libraries have also digitized their collection, and I've looked at some of those, and some of them are pretty good. Nothing as expansive that I've seen as the New York Public Libraries. They have a huge collection, so definitely worth looking into.
Yeah. Oh, these are incredible. 62 results for watermelon on that one. The last one, Smithsonian, I think was like 160 watermelon. Who would have thought? So yeah, that's super, super good resources. Thank you very much, Jeremy. Let's go to the third, number three on our list of top places to find prototype art, and that is Flickr.
Yeah.
So
So here's like the
tell us
pros and
tell us more
cons
about
here.
that, Jeremy.
So a bunch of libraries are scanning their old books and their catalog and putting it up online, and they're not quite sophisticated enough to make their own website in a searchable database like the New York Public Library has. So instead, what they've been doing is partnering with Flickr to do that. And so here is the British Library on Flickr, and it's flickr.com/photos/British Library as one word. So the upside here is tons of old illustrations, especially if you're going to do like a historical game, which lots of board games take place in different time periods. You can get tons and tons of illustrations that really make your game feel like that time period. Lots of stuff on there. The bad side is it's not as searchable or as organized as it is in like the government websites we looked at. So you're going to have to do some poking around and exploring to find what you want. So the British Library. The Internet Archive book images. So this is flickr.com/photos/Internet Archive book images, all as one word. And this is scanning a bunch of old books. So like I'm looking at a collection of Beatles right now. If I wanted a scarab for my Egyptian game, I could totally
Yeah.
get that. And tons and tons of photos in there as well. And then we'll do one more. Oh, it's a different library. Sorry, different wrong tab there. But there are more libraries there on Flickr that you can find that have maybe not had the opportunity to build their whole old website, but can have made their catalog. Like I'm looking at the Internet Archive book images, and they have 5 million images in their collection up there on Flickr, and the British Library has 1 million images up there. So with a little bit
hmm
of legwork digging around, you can find lots of cool stuff.
Yep. And this is one where you should be extra careful about licensing too
Yes.
and attribution because anyone can just, kind of start throwing stuff up on Flickr, whether or not they own the rights to it or not. So be extra careful on
The
on this site.
libraries have done the work to clear their stuff, right? The librarians
hmm
have done it. So if I'm getting it from a library on Flickr, I could feel confident that I'm not going to run afoul of licensing. But if it's someone else's random Flickr, you're not someone who may sell their photography, sell their work, and then I have to be very careful. But for the
Yep.
libraries, they specifically are a good source.
Yep. All right. And we're down to number two. What's our number two place to find prototype arts, Jeremy?
Patreon. Patreon. I'm going to call out 3 Patreons in particular. If you have more Patreons that you use or like or back, I'd love to hear them. Write to me, write to Brian, and share them. 3 that I pay for every month and back, specifically for board game artwork on Patreon. Arcnight. And so this is patreon.com/ARCKNIGHT. Arc night as in like, a person night, not like after day. So Arcnight, they make little 2D miniatures for games. That's their whole business, and you can get them in like plastic or paper from them. But they also sell their artwork that they've commissioned for all of this as a downloadable file. So I can go to Arcnight and I'm like, I need some elves, I need some dragons, and they have it, and and they publish new ones every month. So, this month we're going to do a whole bunch of skeletons, or this one's a whole bunch of all kinds of different like fantasy. This is I don't know, dark elves or whatever it is. And so like not all of them are useful to me. I'm like, I wouldn't use that. But enough of them are that I definitely get, and then you get like different poses. You get male and female characters. You get a whole bunch of different stuff. And so this is a very nice one. I've been very happy back in this one. I'll
Yeah,
leave
I
you.
think this one. I think this one is I think they make they were doing it for a while, making little standees of characters that
Right.
were like semi-transparent,
The flat plastic
where you can
miniatures.
stand them up. Yeah,
Yeah,
so it was like a much cheaper way, yeah,
totally.
to make miniatures. I know I've seen them at conventions. I know I've talked to them before, and I think back to
I
Campaign
have a
2
bunch.
of
Yeah,
them. But
they're great for prototyping of the flat plastic miniatures. They're much much lower cost than a 3D miniature, and they look good because they have fun art on them. And
yeah,
you stand in a little standee with the full color artwork right there on the table, and it looks good. I use them for
hmm
I got some different. You can get some pirates if you got a pirate game. You can get some different things. And like, oh, I need some pirates, and I need some bears, and I need some
hmm
whatever, and then you have those for your prototype.
yeah. What else you got, Jeremy?
Alicia Volkman is very engaged with the online board game community and with the Game Crafter community. And so her Patreon, she puts out artwork that she makes every week, and she can take requests if you're at a certain pledge level. And so I've been happy backing that one as well. And then another artist, I just stumbled upon this guy and his style. It's like the sepia toned style. I'm like, man, this is really cool
hmm
looking, kind of like I don't know if it's not quite fantasy art. It's not quite steampunk. It's a cool style, and it's like
Yeah.
Jimmy Stegmeyer saw Jacob's art and wanted to make scythe out of it. Like I got to make a game and set in this world. So I look at this artwork. I'm like, man, someone's got to make a game with this artwork because
hmm
it has such a distinct style and it's so fun.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Satoshi Matsura, which I'll put in the show notes because it's hard to spell on Patreon as
hmm
well, and he puts out different drawings every month, and there's some really cool looking stuff in there. So those are three Patreons to come to mind. There's a whole bunch more there to explore, and I'd love to hear the ones that you back. But that's what comes to mind.
Yeah, and this way you can really connect with these artists too, which is even better to
Right.
support what they're doing. It just it feels really good to help them out, to show that you appreciate what they're doing, and to be able to ask them questions and interact with them, and maybe even help them decide what to create next.
I've
Yeah.
got to vote, make requests for Alicia, and I've seen some of those come up in future
All
months in the
right.
artwork. And I've talked to the Arcnight guys multiple times, and so yeah, and it's been most useful.
Yeah, these are ways to stay connected to people in the post or current coronavirus world that we're living in right now. So it's really cool to do that. Let's move on to number one. We're already to number one. What's the top place to find prototype art for your games, Jeremy?
So we classified these or lumped these together as icon sites.
Yep.
And so the very well known and very well beloved game-icons.net. I think this has almost become a cliche for me, a stereotype, is that whenever I go to like prototype events and I sit down to play a game and I go, oh, this game is made out of gameicons.net.
Yeah.
And I instantly recognize what the game is made of, which I don't think is necessarily bad in that I just see it so much now. I'm like, wow, I wish we would have a little bit more diversity in the icon, but they're very good. So game-icons.net, and they're updating it all the time with more stuff. I think there are 3,800 free icons for the game. The licensing is very easy, and so yeah, they're a great source. I do use them often. Other icon sites, my personal favorite, I've mentioned this in the past, the Noun
hmm
Project. They're over 2 million icons now. So you think of, I'm going to search for a watermelon that's been my theme today. And then it's like, yeah, here you go. Here's like, I don't know, what is that, 50 different watermelons?
Yeah. That's always a
Do
surprising
you want
amount.
like a dark
Yeah.
one, a light one, a leaning left, a slice, a full round one? And so tons of stuff comes right up. And they are three ways to license the Noun Project items. Pay a buck and own the license for that icon. Use it for free with attribution with certain rules, or for $10 a month, or I think I pay $70 a year, all you can eat. So unlimited use of their stuff. And man, this is what I make my prototypes out of. And they have clients that integrate with like Microsoft Office and Mac apps and Adobe apps. So you get their little software package and like you have their library in your app or as a floating window next to your app when you're working and building your game, and it's just fantastic. I can't
Yeah, I
say enough.
subscribe to this too. You introduced me to this, and oftentimes this is usually where I go for my first version of a game. It just usually is because they
Yeah,
have everything. They, like you said, they have different orientations of things and colors. I mean, really black and white, but still,
yeah.
you know,
Well, they have colors
you
it
can
now.
get just like
So if you like, make it this
okay.
color. If you like, when you're about to grab it, you could say, "Hey, make it red," and then it just you can
Ah,
change it in the little app, and then
nice.
drag and drop it in with any color you want, and you can enter like a hex
Yep,
value for the color or whatever you want, and it'll do it.
yep. And you can get PNG or vector
Yeah,
versions
that's
of
right. It's true.
these.
You can do vector or PNG. That's a big deal, depending on what you're
Mm-hmm.
working in, to be able to get both. You can get both. That's a great call out.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right, and then
Keep going. Yep.
one I had not heard of was Icon Monster. You had
Yeah.
suggested this one, and I hadn't heard of Icon Monster before, and I was like, "Oh, that's interesting. A new one to add to my list." Tell me about Icon Monster, Brian.
Yeah, this is actually pretty new to me as well. But I found it, and actually, my day job is software development, and our UI UX person that we were working with said, I asked them for an icon for, I can't remember, what was it, like a phone or something, because we had a way to call on a mobile app that we're making. And so they said, oh, just download it from Icon Monster. And I was like, what? What is that? And I looked and I was like, this can't be free. We can't just use this for our commercial app. So I looked into it and like I was surprised, like, wow, there's a lot here and it's all free to use. So this is another fantastic resource that I'm going to be starting to use as well. And we could even use this for a game that we publish, an actual published version of a game that we could use. So very cool.
That's great. So Icon Monster is ICON, and then Monster is spelled without the E. So MONSTR. So Icon Monster with the slightly WebPoint 2.0 spelling there. Yeah, I'll say
Yeah.
that there are I have on my bigger list a bunch of sources for iconography meant for app development, meant for software. And I backed some of them on Kickstarter. Like, we're going to do a new collection of buttons that look like this. And I find them to be useful for games, although they're a little more focused on like interface elements. So, like here on Icon Monster, I searched for watermelon and I didn't get anything. But if I search for like back, right, something I would use in a game, I get a whole bunch of
Hmm.
different back arrows. So I do think that the software libraries like this are a good place to raid and explore for additional iconography for your games. Uh,
Yep.
you had
Yep.
another one on your list, which was Icons 8. Icons
Mm.
8. Is that another one, like a software development library one?
Similar. Yeah, I've used this. I have this on my list of icons that I've been using for a while that I just kind of always happen to, I always happen to just like find what I'm looking for here often. If I can't find something on Noun Project or as you can see, if you're watching the video version of this, you can see the different colors. There's different colors of these, so it's useful for that. And there is attribution required
Got it.
on this
Okay.
as well, but it is good for prototypes, you know, especially when you want to step up to some sort of color or get ideas for color for different things. So this is still good for prototypes, and you can buy them as well, but it's not like a dollar. It's a little more than that if you want to buy
Mm,
these, but still, it's great for prototypes, and just make sure you put the credit on there.
got it. And that's icons number 8.com. So
Yep.
ICONS number 8.com. Then I think
Hmm.
I have we have an honorable mention because I thought this was good. You had suggested Spoon Graphics
Yeah.
for textures, and I also
Yeah.
had not heard of this one before. Tell me about Spoon Graphics as our honorable mention.
Yeah, it's a good site to use if you're looking for just different textures. Like if you need a background for, you know, your text box, or, you know, if you need a background for, you know, a character and you don't just want it to
Ah,
be a solid color, you can put like a wood texture or a metal texture, or just to add some like kind of wear and tear to different pieces of your graphic design. This is more for like if you're gonna do some like final graphic design, you can use this
got it.
as a resource for those textures. And a lot of these you do pay for, but there's also a lot of what they call freebies here, where you can download, you know, 50 different metal textures that you can use. Where oftentimes you'll make those not fully opaque, but semi-transparent.
Speckle
Put on the
textures.
back. Yeah,
Okay, all
just to
right.
make your backgrounds a little more interesting than just a solid color. So this is good for that. But this is more, you can do it for a prototype if you're really trying to make your prototype look a lot better and get ready to publish to somebody, where a publisher maybe who you think would care how good it looks. But also for your indie creators, you can actually use this for your final version as well. The freebies you can use for anything. But then obviously there are some that you have to pay for as well, which you wouldn't have to credit, but you'd have to pay for. So it's good. They do hit you up with a lot of marketing emails
Oh yeah.
once you create an account.